Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of a redesign, and that's basically because I had some thought about what I'm doing and where I want to go. And yeah, basically the last few months I have been thinking of ways to make it better, cheaper, etc., etc. And this was also helped by the fact that I visited the old company I worked for, building race cars, and got new information on the seating position, which allowed me to have the person sit lower in the car. And therefore make the car lower, therefore using smaller and cheaper tires, etc., etc., etc. So it's a snowball effect, and this basically also has to do with the body that I want to design for this car, and also the regulations. Within the regulations, the width is not an issue, the height is not an issue, but the length is an issue. And if I go with bigger wheels, the car will automatically become a little bit longer due to the seating position. If I go for smaller wheels and the seating position is lower, then I can also make the car a little bit shorter, which allows me to stay most likely within the regulation. So that's basically a little bit um, background information on that. What does it mean? Well, as I mentioned, the seating position is different, much lower, therefore the car can be lower, therefore I can use smaller wheels. Cheaper wheels, cheaper rims, and of course build lighter. By building lighter and by building lower, I can also build more aerodynamically. My center of gravity will be better, and therefore my battery pack can be smaller, which means cheaper but also lighter, because the lighter the battery pack is, the less weight I have to pull with me, and therefore my weight is reduced, my range is increased. And what I find important with this car, of course, is the budget. But second of all, I have solar panels on my house. So if I have, for example, a 40 kilowatt hour battery pack, then I cannot charge that with my solar panels. However, I have an electric motorcycle right now, and it's like 1.2 kilowatt hours battery capacity, and I can charge that fine. Now with this car I'm aiming for about 7, because I want to keep the weight extremely low, below 450 kilograms, possibly even around the 350 kilogram mark. Now, if I can get the weight down to that number, then I can have around a range of, let's say, 60 kilometers on a hot day to 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers on a cold day, a windy day. And that's for me fine. And to understand what this vehicle is built for, it's a friend's vehicle. What does that mean? It means it's a vehicle that allows you to travel from city to city, so you can go to your job when you live nearby. And that's where I use my electric bike for. That's also where I want to use this vehicle for. So I don't need a range of 200 kilometers, because it's 15 kilometers to my work and 15 kilometers back. So that's the basic. I need to be able to reach that. And with my electric motorcycle, you can find that the cold weather and the wind really does a number on the range. So as I mentioned, in the summertime I can do 50, 60 kilometers on a battery pack, and on the same battery pack with cold weather and windy weather I can only do 30 kilometers. Um, so that's basically the starting point of the redesign. So a couple months back my daughter was born. I have a son and a daughter, and when my daughter was born I had a lot of inspiration, and I started sketching a car for this chassis. And basically I didn't do anything with it for, let's say, 8 months. Then we had a little break, and I started to design again with the car. I will show you the design phases that I went through in this video. So in between or in those 8 months, I did make a model of the car. However, those files got corrupted. So I again designed the body. of the new one, which I can of course show you. I find that when you design a car, you need to have several iterations of the body shell anyhow, so I don't really care for it. I can show you the end result, and then we can work towards the final version, um, I think, in some video after this. But um, so what I want to talk to you about is first of all the design. Um, I mentioned a little bit that I worked on reducing the weight, reducing the height, and increasing the efficiency basically. Um, and I also wanted to have a design that I want to make this package work for. Now again, this is a skateboard design, so many different body styles will fit the car. Like I showed in my previous skateboard design videos, I have a hot rod body for it and some other body styles for it as well. But I wanted to have a body to start the whole project on. And I'm a guy that likes classic cars, so what you'll see is it has quite some classic lines in it. Um, and so you can see a little bit of a Jaguar E-Type, a little bit of a Viper, a little bit of a Marcos, a little bit of some cars like that, Corvette maybe, and um, some details of those cars you can find in it, but it's its own design. And anyway, for those people who want to know how small this car actually is, because if you hear me saying the number 350, 450 kilograms, you might think, wow, what are all the other companies doing wrong? Well, I believe that in order to use the full potential of electric, you need to go as efficient as possible and as lightweight as possible, and that also means smaller, especially for this Forens type vehicle. Um, so the car will be around 1 meter high. If you have a normal car, it's between 1 meter 30 and 1 meter 40, 1 meter 50 high. So that's 1/3 lower already. Then the width is 1.5 meter, that's set by regulation. And normal cars these days are 1.8 meters wide. So it's a foot or 30 centimeters narrower than a normal car. And then the lengthwise, it can be around 3.4 meters long, I believe, based on the regulations. And yeah, a normal car is easily 4.5 meters, 4.5 meters in Europe. So again, there it's much smaller, and therefore we can build it lighter. However, it's also going to be much more simplistic. So there will be a simple heater, but there will be no air conditioning. Because air conditioning just takes up easily 1/3 of your battery capacity if you run it on a car, especially with such small capacity. So it will be a very basic car that has drive, has a heater function, and has a steering wheel and a body shell on top of it. Basically, very simply put, that's what it is. But you don't need a lot more because you're only driving, let's say, 15 minutes to work. So the only thing that you care for in generally is that you're sitting dry. Um, so I want to have cruise control in it just because it's more efficient, and I want to have a radio in it because that's the only thing I miss when I'm on my motorcycle. But that's basically it. Um, so that's also why I'm able to build it very light. Um, yeah, and yeah, so that's basically the background on what type of car it is, and that's something you really need to understand. You can do groceries with it just fine. That's not an issue. However, you don't expect it to be able to drive on a holiday or something like that. So just for reference. Looking at the car, I think it looks very nice, very unique, and because it's a single-seater car. It's a very small car, but it's quite wide. We can do a lot with shapes, and we can make it look quite aggressive. And of course, that is not always the best for aerodynamics. I realize that, but I mean, I just want to drive a cool car that's quite efficient and that does that brings me to work dry, and is very affordable. And I need to be able to charge it with solar panels that I already have, or maybe I can put some additional ones on, but you know, and that's basically the drive for this. And again, if I want to put a hot rod body on, I can. If I want to put a I don't know, a convertible body or whatever on, I can. Um, so that's the beauty of this whole project. Um, Looking through some of the designs that I made, looking through the design that I'm showing here, um, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, and I'm hoping to get all the parts in, um, to get it affordable. Now, talking about pricing, I don't know what the end result will cost. I don't care about that for now, but um, one of the main struggles that you have with doing this is that, um, as an example, if I wanted to go for cheap brakes, I can go for a little bit older style car, and I can get the hubs of that and can get the disc brakes on that and the calipers. Now, we are most likely, if I do that for all four corners, we are most likely talking about at least 20 kilograms for the hub, for the brake caliper and the brake disc. Now, if I want to go for a little bit more sophisticated brakes, for example, in the past on the project I spoke to Willwood for lighter brakes, they can save me a lot of weight. However, let's say I save 1/3 of the weight to maybe even 50% of the weight. However, the costs will also be 3 times more expensive, if not more. So that's the struggle with building lightweight and cheap. You have to balance out weight versus costs all the time with everything. I mean, I could make the body out of carbon fiber. Hell, I can even make the chassis out of carbon fiber. But I mean, then we're talking about a $50,000 car, or maybe even $100,000 car, and I want to keep it somewhere in the range of a 10 to $15,000 euro car. And therefore I need to go with stock brakes from some car. And you know, that's just the thing that is happening right now. So same with the rear axle. I wanted to go for independent suspension because it gives you a little bit more freedom with the wheel arch design, etc. However, if I just put like a go-kart, an axle through with a single disc brake in the center and just have a sprocket and a chain driven by an electric motor, then everything is so much simpler and everything is so much lighter, and I save out a disc brake, I save, you know, and I want to be able to drift this because that's a dream of mine, having an electric drift car. So having a rigid axle is something you want to have for that anyway. Yeah, so it's these decisions that make building a car like this extremely difficult, because it's very easy to start running in circles. Yeah, but if I do this, then I cannot do that. But if I do that, I cannot do that. So in the end, you need to start making decisions, which is extremely difficult. And most of the time, these are also extremely personal. So I hope this examples give you a little bit of a little bit of an insight into what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to solve these things and how I'm trying to package the car. So what I've decided is I take from a small old car, I take the front disc brakes to have a little bit of weight in the front, because otherwise I'm afraid that I have too much weight towards the rear. And for the rear, I'm going for a single axle, rigid axle with a single disc brake with dual calipers, one for the hydro e-brake, one for the regular brake, and then a sprocket with a chain and an electric motor. Then the passenger is sitting basically, or the person driving is basically sitting in the center of the vehicle with the battery pack underneath his back. And all that is keeping the center of gravity very low, because it's a very low car and quite big wheels. Now the wheels are 15-inch wheels from a Smart. These have 135/70 R15 tires, which give me a diameter of around 570 millimeters. So on a meter high car, it's a very big tire. And it's a 15-inch rim, just a steel rim. First of all, because it's affordable, it's a tire with a little bit of meat on it, and since the body style is quite classic, I don't mind having a smaller rim with more meat on the tire. I think it looks fine. Um, and yeah, so again, a lot of decisions, a lot of things to consider, but I think that doing it this way, we can keep it cheap, or cheap-ish, and we can just start building it. Same with the wiring, just go for simple parts, simple wiring, not a lot of options, and just go, make it easy, make it something you can build your own. And yeah, I think that's the way forward. So again, I'm trying to get the weight around the 350-400 kilogram mark, and I'm trying to get a range of ideally 60 kilometers per charge, and I want to get it around a 7 kilowatt hour battery pack, so that'll give me, yeah, something I can charge with my own solar panels. Yeah, that's the gist of how this redesign basically came together with the new seating position. And yeah, I hope you like the direction we are going, and a little bit more detailed design and engineering work videos will follow shortly, because of the some of the changes I need to make to the chassis. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and leave your comments below. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.